You are watching the #1 podcast in the whole entire youth wrestling community, and I'm one of your hosts, Juanzo.
And I'm your other host, Jean-Paul Leek.
Together we are
Rope Break.
And you know what Wednesday means? It means another week of the Wednesday Night Wars. Some people don't like to call it like that. We don't care because we covered both shows. And is it NXT's turn to talk about more build-up for what they finally revealed, Paul? NXT TakeOver is going to have a name, Vengeance Day. So we're going to be talking about all of that. What do you think about the show?
I mean, overall, I think this show was definitely better than last week's, but the thing about that, though, is it's not really because of the NXT talent or solely based on them. It's them with their interaction with, the big announcement, the big thing that people tuned in for this was Edge.
You think
Edge came in, it was like, oh, is he going to challenge Finn Balor? Or, what's he going to do? Nobody knew. Even Beth was like, oh, I'm not saying anything, she didn't even want to spoil it. So, but that was the big attraction. That was the big draw. And those were, I think, overall the best segments. So it's hard to say that it was NXT did a better job. It was NXT did the smart thing by bringing Edge in to, make the show better.
Yep. Well, he won the Royal Rumble, so they got to tease it. He's like, I can challenge any champion of any brand, so that's what they're going to do. Thank you so very much for the love, for the subscriptions, the comments that you guys give us every single day. We feel it. He already apologized on my behalf for what happened on the Royal Rumble, but he did also an amazing review of Monday Night Raw. Edge also, Edge is everywhere right now. He's like, everywhere we see him is like, oh, he's Edge. We see him, and, he defeated Randy Orton with the help of Alexa Bliss. Monday Night Raw right there. Every single thing right there. Please watch the review. Paul goes through absolutely everything. And, build up for WrestleMania had already started. So, pretty good show. But now, let's go to cover NXT. And NXT opened up with, the Women's Classic, the Dusty Cup. And he's with Casey Catanzaro, Jaden Carter, and also Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez. I know that this match was not going to be amazing, but I think that it was pretty acceptable. Catanzaro, like you said, is much more flippy girl, not much wrestling, but I have a lot of faith in Jaden Carter. She has a lot of future for me, very promising star, and she gave me a really good performance. I like her.
Oh, yeah, no, I like Carter as well. I think she's definitely the star of this team. And Catanzaro, I mean, there's a lot of short people that's just, hey, that's in wrestling, but she's, when she stands in the ring, she don't even get to the top rope. She's got to be 4 foot nothing. She, like you said, Ultimate Ninja Warrior or whatever, does the flips, does the stuff. But I think Carter's the star. She's, of this team because she's actually at least a little more believable. But, when you're staring down Raquel Gonzalez, I don't think any of these two women, even, you combine them into one, are believable. So, I thought this match should have been a little bit quicker. I know why it wasn't. They're trying to get this babyface team over, trying to really okay, yeah, maybe, they're not John Cena. Their time isn't now, but it will be in the future. So, I mean, it was decent, but I'm at least happy the heels won. I won't be like, oh, this was good, or it was all right. I don't think they should start the show with matches like these. You should start it with something hot to get into it. Like you said, I mean, they need to maybe something a little more spicy. The action was decent. Like you said, for example, they did a spot Catanzaro climbed on one of the structures. She dove, like you said, you clearly saw how both of them were just waiting for it. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't use decent for that, but yeah, because it's just if you're in a really competitive contest and you want to beat these people, you're just gonna walk away and let her splat on the ground.
Yeah, but they gotta compete with AEW. They do the same spots, so I guess they have to go with that route. But it's also to showcase Catanzaro, like you said, she's the female version of Ricochet. That's why they're dating. So the one thing that you mentioned is neither one of them can stand against Raquel, and you could see it. Maybe against Dakota Kai will be more contested, but Raquel is always the difference maker. And I mean, they had that spot where she did that dove, that Phoenix splash, and actually didn't come out that well. I don't know if you noticed, but I think her feet touched Raquel's head. I didn't like that. It came out a little sloppy for me right there, and then that was a 2 count, and then then Raquel right away in a beautiful sequence. Then she countered another move that she was going through for the chokeslam powerbomb. So pretty good in the end, and the right winners get the win, like we mentioned. And I am really excited for that. We'll see the finals though, the semifinals, because the finals are going to be in TakeOver. I think that's what they mentioned. So There you go. See, no, that's not the one picture. But like it's gonna be Jaden Carter is eliminated, but at least Raquel and Dakota Kai get us to the semifinals. Was it a great start of the show? I think decent, don't you think? I think that's what it was. So now let's gonna go with we have Edge on hand, like you mentioned right there. The Ruben Raider superstar is gonna be there. Like why they did this? Because of course beach break. So they have to have the winner of the Royal Rumble, and then he gets a little stare down. Don't remember these days when we're actually feuding for the Intercontinental Championship right there. So that's what we have. Then we also moved to Toni Storm. She had a promo. She mentioned that it was confirmed that she's gonna have a triple threat. We mentioned last week. Remember Mercedes Martinez, Io Shirai, triple threat. So she said that Mercedes Martinez was dead weight, and she's gonna show everybody today what she's gonna be capable of. So that was cool. But now let's move on to something that we don't like. Yeah, there you go. Leon Ruff against our boy, Austin Theory.
This was a kind of like a similar case to the first match where it was just you have somebody who is completely unbelievable, as in you can't believe they're beating up, So there's somebody who's 3 times their size in Austin Theory, and it's just, Austin Theory. You don't want to say, oh, they're still punishing him for all that other stuff, because look at Jordan Devlin. They're not punishing him no more. Look at Tyler Bate. They're not punishing him.
Oh yeah, no.
I don't think this is still punishment. I think this is just we don't know what to do with this guy, and it's man, we really started this, this bullshit faction of the way. And we can't just, stop it cold turkey. So we got to let it kind of run its course and eventually break them all up, which that's what needs to happen to Austin Theory. He needs to break away from this group, turn babyface, and then maybe they'll use him legit. Because, in this match, you got Leon Ruff, who's Leon Ruff was shoulder tackling Austin Theory to the ground. He couldn't shoulder tackle me, let alone, you know what I mean? He couldn't shoulder tackle you.
Yeah, well, no, maybe me will be, it will.
No, I put my money on you. Don't worry.
Oh, thank you. But you're right. Again, and we've seen this match before. So a month, 2 months ago, we've seen this match before. So it doesn't make a lot of sense. And like you said, look how he ripped he is. Austin Theory. He's absolutely ripped. And why? For right there. How ripped he is, and Leon Ruff. There's a size difference, big time. Then they did a spot with Eddie Guerrero right there. So Gargano was trying to interfere, was trying to make some confusion right there. So Leon Ruff kind of
and this all happened when Leon Ruff took out Gargano, and then we saw Candice and Indy came out. They were helping him, and then for some reason the babyface team just jumps. The heel team here. So it's who's the heel and who's the babyface?
Right. Yeah.
Because we saw Shotzi and Ember Moon. Yeah, Shotzi and Ember Moon, because we're going to see that match next week. So they started brawling, and while the ref was get out of here, get to the back, that's where Leon Ruff did the Eddie Guerrero spot, like you said, and then, Johnny Gargano was sent to the back. And then soon after that, he hit the ATL, that awesome jumping flatliner, 1, 2, 3. It was good. Austin Theory at least won, but it took so long to get here. This match literally should have been 2 minutes and done. Austin Theory, ATL, 1, 2, 3.
Yep, it was right there. He gets the win, and the big issue is also he started attacking more on Leon Ruff. He started to go. So the word to me, the really what is really taking me off this feud and everything is that also Dexter Lumis is involved in all of this. Dexter Lumis is involved. He came out from the back. He starts applying, the Hanakatame right there, and then he actually took a chunk of Austin Theory's hair. So right there. So and he was smelling it kind of psychopath, wacko faction that he does, and so I don't like that.
There's too many people involved in this whole feud, because what are we going to see? Austin Theory versus Dexter Lumis? It might be a pretty good match, but they're not fighting for anything. To me, it's pointless, because is Lumis going after the North American Championship? Because we got confirmation we're going to see Gargano and Kushida, and they had an interaction and all that stuff. So it's there's so many people. There's so many people involved, and it's just all confusing. And it's not confusing, but it's we don't know who's going to challenge, who's going to win. And it's not good.
Too many pieces in the pot. It's for example, you said Gargano had a backstage promo, and Mackenzie was in there. So this was this other girl that is actually for SmackDown. She was on SmackDown, but maybe Mackenzie was having some fun with Big Joseph. Who knows? But she's been interviewing Gargano, and then he was he's answering questions about Candice and all of that. And what do you think about your match with Kushida? Because it was announced that you're gonna defend the title at NXT Takeover Vengeance Day. So he's what? And he got really mad. So right there, we have the the picture. He went to Regal's his office, and then Kushida came out, and then they went at it. Like you said, this should be the feud right here. You don't need Austin Theory involved. You don't need Leo Ruff. You don't need Candice. You just need these two guys feuding.
And Dexter Lumis, to me, because when Dexter Lumis is involved, and that's why I don't like this, is I feel like, okay, they're going to somehow screw Kushida, and then Gargano's going to lose it to Lumis. Yeah. And to me, as cool as he was in the beginning, and I really did like him, when they first had him and all that stuff, he'll be a bullshit champion. He doesn't speak. What's he going to do? Just hold up the belt and that's it? And smell people's hair as that, no, that's...
And to me, you need to be healed to pull out that. Babyface, you're not going to be able to do that. Lose what happened with Cassidy. It's hard to put him over. It's hard to give him stuff to do. So I don't really like that. We finally, moving forward, we got an explanation, a little bit of Mei Yim. So this girl that is actually managing Xia Li and also the Cobra. So we're managing all of them, we actually got a little bit of an anime promo. So the story about her, she was the daughter of this king, and then her brother went against the father and all of that. Did you enjoy this? I like it.
It was cool in the sense that it's you give this backstory and you're like, oh, she's 1,000 years old. So then it's kind of like the mythical, Chinese mythology, all this weird craziness, and it's actually kind of cool. But it's cool in this promo. But then let's see how they translate it.
Yes,
is Xia Li gonna be badass? We're gonna put the title on Tony Storm. Tony's the champ. Xia Li, the first challenger. But I know you'll hate it, but she demolishes Tony like Brody Lee did to Cody.
Yeah,
it needs to be something where that's how you need to do it. Otherwise, this is all a waste.
Yeah, no, yeah,
and I've been saying that since she was beating the shit out of Boa 6-7 weeks ago. It's unless you really go all in on this and treat it legit. If you do all this and it's oh yeah, Xia Li gets rolled up by Casey Catanzaro, then it's a waste.
It doesn't make any sense. Like you said,
but I did like it.
Yeah, and the one thing I want to mention is their mission is to respect the culture of their ancestors. So that's this has happened years ago, centuries ago, but she's trying to recreate, to respect this culture, and that's why she's doing this. So good, but like you said, they need to translate and always said, Tully Blanchard said it the best, goal. That's what gives you goal, bragging rights. So that's what they did. So now let's go to a really great promo. I know you love this because we're big fans of Legado del Fantasma. Santos Escobar said today they have 2 matches, one for the Dusty Cup, the tag for them, and then he has to defend the Cruiserweight Championship against Kurt Stallion. So he said, hey, el final está cerca, which it means the end is near, and it's going to be hopefully all of our matches we're going to win. It's going to be a pretty good damn day to be in Legado del Fantasma. So that's awesome. Santos Escobar, like you said, there's the best person portraying NXT so far because it's been months that he looks like $1 million.
Yeah, I love this promo. And, then commentary afterwards, they're saying, oh, when he said the end is near, that's a reference to Scarlett and Carrion. And I'm like, did Scarlett or Carrion ever say those words, or is it just from that song they used?
No, it's just from that song. Yeah.
I'm like, how does? Yeah. I'm like, well, how is that oh, that's Carrion when that was a few months ago?
No.
I was like, to me,
Tech Family Armageddon 2003, right there. And it's near, and it was the same song for Armageddon, but of course they got to recycle. So talking about, Legado.
Well, because they don't have the CFOs no more. They got to go back in their own library.
Yes, yeah, we got, we got to use what we have. So not CFOs, but Legado del Fantasma and, Lucha House Party, like Jean Paul says, these guys need a better theme song to be more serious. Because as of wrestling, when the bell rings, in John Porn's terminology, when the bell rings, these guys, make you believe that they're amazing wrestlers, which they are. And we got a really great lucha libre match between these 4 guys. It was amazing. I really loved it. But like you said, if they don't have a good song, I'm not invested in the Lucha House Party.
Oh yeah, no, and I, I'm a big fan of Lucha House Party. I have been their entire NXT, coming down here. And, hey, they had the Raw Championship, Raw Tag Team Championship match on Monday Night Raw. So it's they're slowly presenting these guys, hopefully in a more legit manner. And like I said, what kid doesn't love, luchadors, high-flying stuff, WWE, their main target audience, I feel, is children. So, push these guys. That's who kids will probably want to see. I know if I was a kid, that's who I'd really want to see. And they like you see in this picture, they had the matching masks, and I'm like, did Grand Metalik forget his mask, and that's why he's wearing one like Lince Dorado's, or are they doing it to seem more like a team? But I mean, either way, both these guys to me are legit. They could easily be a cruiserweight champion, light heavyweight champion, whatever on their own. But the team here, the hot hand you got to go with is Legado del Fantasma. I feel like that's the team. It's like, even though I want to see the Lucha House Party win, and as I'm watching this, seeing Grand Metalik and all these guys, move, I'm like, okay, I'm like, I kind of am hoping they actually, pull the upset here again. But I knew they wouldn't win the whole, tournament to begin with, even if they did win. So it's like, the right winner is probably going to be Legado, and that's who did win. And that was a good choice. But this was a great match, and I hope that
beautiful move to end it. Like it was like more like kind of like it was not like a neck breaker, and also into like a super kick. Just like a shining wizard. I think it was. It was a combination right there. But after that, as they're staring at the sign, because everybody does that. Not the WrestleMania, but like who they face. They're gonna go against MSK. So we got this picture right here, finally the right one right there, and then MSK comes out. Like the former Rascals. So they're talking about, hey, when you get a big win, that's like you get hungry and all of that, and it's like, but next week we're gonna beat you because we're Michael Jackson and you guys are Tito. So if you're not familiar with the Jackson fight, you won't get the reference, but that's what they said, and I mean, you said it the best. These guys just debuted on NXT. They have to go over. Legado del Fantasma is fine, but at least made it to the semifinals. They still keep like the legitimacy, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be honest here with you, Wesley. I'm fine with him, but Nash Carter, every time he speaks, I'm like, you're making me like MSK less and less. Mm-hmm. I mean, like he's just like, ooh yeah, he's all like weird, and I'm like, and then even Wes looks at him like what? Like, what are you saying? And then he's like, all right, anyway, because he was the one who's like, oh, we're Michael Jackson and you're Tito, and he looked at him and he's like, what? Like who? Like what? Like it's like anyway.
Like I said, if you don't know the Jackson 5, you don't.
Because I don't know if I'd want to be saying I'm Michael Jackson with all the hee going on that he did later in his life. So I don't know if I'd want to be calling myself Michael Jackson. But like I said, Nash Carter is a little bit whatever. But if you don't have these guys talk, then I'll continue to like them more and more.
Or just go back to the Rascals promos that they did.
Just go back to the treehouse.
Yeah, I think that people will like that much better. So moving on, Paul, right there, we had like finally the stare down, the big stare down between Pete Dunne. He came out with also, with the tag champs, also with Lorcan and also Danny Burch. But like he said, no, don't worry, I got it. So he came out and he's like, I won the champion. Finn Balor came out right after because, the big thing was supposed to be for them, Edge was supposed to come out. I think that's what they were trying to tease it. So finally, Pete Dunne goes, hey, I want a match with you for the championship. And Finn Balor actually right away says, we're going to have a match and it's going to be at NXT TakeOver Vengeance Day. So that was cool. Edge interrupts and they had a really magical promo. I like you said, Edge intensity and the stuff that he says is absolutely great every single time. He says, because of this show, I won my career back because you guys give me the passion, the fire. That's what I wanted to get those 9 years back of my life, because of all of you. Then he goes to Pete Dunne and you remind me a lot of like me when I was younger. You have that even the good and the bad, but you remind me a lot of And then he goes to Finn Balor. He's like, you're on a different level than everybody else. The way you carry yourself and everything. And then he also mentioned this and he points out the NXT championship is I never had that. So how do you feel about all of this? Because
this was easily the best segment of the entire show. And I love, Edge. He's like, main roster focuses a little too much on the entertainment. He's like, but this brand here focuses on that second W, wrestling. So, he's like, this is why I wanted to come here. And I love when he said that about Pete Dunne. He shrugged. He's like, I would have shrugged at me. He's like, 10 years ago, I would have shrugged at that too, kid.
I love the kid thing, yes.
Yeah, I mean, that was legit, and, this is good. And he's like, whichever one of you two wins, he's like, I'll be back.
It's intriguing me. That's what he said. It intrigues me. So he's like, hey, I might just come back because I'm the Royal Rumble winner. Right there. He says, I'm the Royal Rumble winner, so I can challenge for any championship. But good stuff, And like you mentioned, it's official. NXT TakeOver, Vengeance Day. Finn Balor.
Yes. And to not have Edge overshadow this, I am really looking forward to this match. I think this will be really good. Showcase for Pete Dunne in the main event. Balor, will probably win. I don't see him losing this, but, it'll be a great match nonetheless.
And, two British guys, they deserve it. You mentioned this. This should have been instead of Kyle O'Reilly right away, but, I mean, they delayed it, and they're going to give us that on pay-per-view. And we got the Rated R Superstar. That's always fine. And, we'll see more from the Rated R Superstar in just a little bit. But before we got Toni Storm against Jessie Kamea. Did she say that she was going to, show the whole world why she's the best and why she's going to win the NXT Women's Championship? Unfortunately, that didn't come to fruition because this match didn't last anything. Pretty much like 2 moves and that was it, because like the match was interrupted by actually Mercedes Martinez, one of the girls that is going to be challenging Io Shirai at NXT TakeOver. And then we got to see a little bit of cake right there. And then Io comes out, and Io was actually enjoying the going like the interactions between Tony and Mercedes right there on the turnbuckle. And then, she went at both of them, and then she did the moonsault. Did you like this? I was like, maybe it was alright.
If you do like a beat down, run in, hot shot, crash TV, whatever term you want to use, if you do it every single week in almost every other segment, it has no impact. So no, I didn't care. To be honest, am I looking forward to the match? Yeah, 3 talented women in there. I think it'll be legit. I'm a little scared for Io. I think, this might be the time where she loses it, but, and then it's like, well, she wasn't in the Rumble. She's not going to get called up, and if she would just be overshadowed by Rhea. So it's like, I don't really know. Hopefully she doesn't. Hopefully she retains and maybe loses it in a singles match. Maybe they're going to save that for Xia Li, but I'm looking forward to this match, but I'd rather just have like, a contract signing and a stare down and, we don't see you beat each other up until it's time for the match.
Yeah, we have another week, so they could be, maybe next week what they do is remember those great video packages that they used to have in the past, so maybe that will be something.
I'm sure we'll get one, oh yeah, Mae Young Classic, all this stuff, because even in the first promo she said like, oh, Io's been unstoppable, and nobody can touch her except me.
Yes.
She's like, I'm the only one who's really had her number. And it's like, I think Shayna Baszler did too, but that's all right.
That's fine. Yeah, we're supposed to forget, remember? We're not supposed to be smart wrestling fans, but it's fine, We deal with it. It's all good. Let's talk about Santos Escobar, a guy that, is always untouchable. He's not Carmella, but he's always untouchable. Kurt Stallion. I didn't care for the match too much because, unless I don't see Jordan Devlin, I'm not going to get invested because that, I think, is the guy that is going to take away the championship if he's supposed to take it away. If not, Santos will retain. But I think it was a pretty, acceptable show.
Yeah.
I think he did a good showing, but, Santos, the match was taken away for something else. But tell me what you think of it.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it. Kurt Stallion or like whatever, a horse of a different name is still going to be a stallion, but he was essentially the plate, which was, holding the meal, and the meal, was Scarlett and carrying Cross and all that stuff. Yeah, it's just, he wasn't the main focus because, of course, in Vic's
the main focus.
Like you see her, she's standing there clear as day, and Vic's like, huh? What's that? Like, what do I see here? And I'm like, I hate this whole, they play dumb. Just be like, is that Scarlett up there? And I don't know. I'm not going to go off on commentary because we'd be here all night. But the match I really didn't care for because, like you said, it's one of those where we have no investment, no emotional attachment, no nothing to Stallion, and it's like, okay, so we don't really care, and we know the feud is Jordan Devlin. And then we also know that, Santos kind of has this other, big feud probably coming up with Karrion Kross. So it's like, why would we care about this?
Yeah, well, like you said.
I really couldn't get into it. And so. You
could see how Santos was the most of the match distracted by the situation. So that's why at times Curtis was about to win. But in the end, the Phantom Driver, and then he did also that big move that it ended up hitting the shoulder. So he retains the championship. But the aftermath of this is what really matters, because in a really weird fashion, Karrion Kross comes out, and Karrion Kross takes away both Joaquin Noir and the other guy from Legado del Fantasma, and then he has a big stare down with Santos Escobar, and he says, our match is going to be inevitable. He's like, I'm just giving you time, but you and me, we're going to clash. I guess for the comments that he mentions to Scarlett. So he said, I'm just giving you time, the TikTok, all of that. And you see Santos, at least the smile was good because he seems confident. I like that.
That was the best. He didn't back down. And that's the thing. Nobody really backed down from Karrion. You got to think Ciampa kind of stood his ground. Priest stood his ground. Keith Lee did. So I like this. They're not Santos even as well. And you see, he's really not that much shorter than Karrion. So it's like, okay, it seems like it could be. It's not like Leon Ruff versus Karrion. You know what I mean? So it's this to me is good. Santos is a champion. The only thing I would say that would hurt him is if he would lose here. Then that would kind of kill his momentum, maybe going into a match with Devlin that I feel is going to happen, sooner rather than later. And I'm not saying in the next 2 weeks or anything, but, I do like this. It's a good in-between feud for Karrion. against somebody who's legit, not just beating up jobbers.
Yes, exactly. And, moving right away, boom, like as he's like Edge is leaving the building, Karen right away put a shirt on because it's cold outside, you got to do it. And boom, he's like, hey, I know that like you wanna go for the NXT championship, but remember that it's not gonna be Pete Dunne, it's not gonna be Finn Balor, it's gonna be me, and I'm gonna gain back the title that I never lost. Maybe Edge had said something like that also.
And I was gonna say, how legit is when he said that line, I was like, how legit is that? Even if Edge, even if all the rumors are true and set in stone and Edge versus Roman, this is a match I still want to see.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
And I think it will, because like a point to touch on what you said earlier, how it's like Edge is on all these shows. He's going to be on SmackDown on Friday, so it'll actually be a worthwhile show to watch. But he said, when I come back, I'm not a part-timer. He's like, if I come back to wrestle, it's like I'm one of the boys. I can be on every week.
Yeah, he wanted to do that.
Yeah, so he's not going to be like the Brock Lesnar type where it's like, I'll show up every month or so. But no, so I like that, and I'm looking forward to this match. If it ever happens, I hope it does. I think it will. I mean, it's going to be badass.
Well, also, like, who else is teasing like Edge's like old foe? He's actually teasing on the internet a feud with Karrion Kross.
Randy Orton.
Randy Orton, he said, I'm tired of your bullshit of your TikTok, and then just go, let's turn the house down and get some money. Let's make money together. And he's like, okay, let's do it. So they are teasing something also like online.
Yeah, like I had been saying for a little while, don't be surprised if Karrion never even goes for the NXT title, and he has a couple feuds here and there, blah, 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 boop, gets called up. Maybe Raw, Mania.
So, like, Edge is all over the place, but it's good that they Karrion, like, they see a lot of future in him. Karrion and Scarlett, those two together, that duo is absolutely amazing, and they can have great stuff together. Let's go to the main event, Paul. Right there is like this another match for the Dusty Cup, and that is Tommaso Ciampa with Timothy Thatcher against Undisputed Era. This match was pretty decent. We've seen these guys, Adam Cole and Ciampa, going at it several times. So what else can they give us that is different? Not much. But, at least, for me, not my favorite winner, but the right winner. I'm going to support the Undisputed Era over Ciampa and Thatcher, but I feel that like they want to promote that team. Remember Thatcher, like he was with Matt Riddle. He didn't win the cup with Matt Riddle because it was Pete Dunne, but I think they want to give them that chance, and especially for Ciampa and Thatcher, there's nothing for them. So why not just give them the Dusty Cup? Don't you think?
Yeah, and even if they don't win it, which I really hope they don't, but if they do, I guess it's something for Thatcher, and it's still presenting Ciampa in the main event type picture because it's he won a trophy, and Ciampa is like, if you really look at the whole landscape, he is one of the most legit guys on NXT. Promo work, how he looks and everything. So you don't want to write off Ciampa or anything, but no, I agree with you. The right winners here. And, I did like the interaction, Cole and Ciampa, then they tag out, Thatcher and Roderick Strong, and they're like, oh, these two will put on a wrestling clinic and all that. And, it was good, but like you said, it's just we've seen the matchups how many times, and after that's what sucks. It's like when you have Edge on the show and everything that was so legit with Edge, and then you get here and it's like, You know what I mean? Like that's how it almost feels. It's like, like you don't hate it, but you're like, okay, like it's not Edge, it's not legit, and I don't know.
Adam Cole was taken away, and then Tommaso Ciampa just did the Widow's Bell on Roderick Strong. He took the advantage right there because Roderick Strong was coming back to the ring, and then kind of in Randy Orton's fashion, he just did that.
And Thatcher was on the outside. He took out Cole, and then Strong took out Thatcher, and then as he's going back in the ring, good ring awareness, Widow's Bell. And what do you? I want to ask your opinion because they do it a lot in NXT, not so much on the main roster. And of course, AEW, everybody's in the ring at all times, so that doesn't matter. But what do you think when they always do like the double submissions in the ring, and they're like, "Oh, don't tap out, don't tap out"? I'm like, shouldn't the ref be getting the illegal guys out of there?
It should.
Well, like the ref just looks at the two who are illegal, and then the two partners are just, the one is submitting the other, and I'm like, shouldn't he be like, get out of the ring? And then that would maybe, when the guy who is, has the submission hold on him can punch the other guy to get out of the hold while the ref's getting the other two out of the ring. I never liked that spot for
example, when it's applied like in kind of like a good way, for example, like Adam Cole did the figure 4, and then Roderick Strong did the Lion Tamer. I like that a little bit just for the visual. I think they do it for that reason, just the visual.
Oh yeah, they do it for the visual, but if you like go off the sense of like the rules and everything, it's it should be a 5 count, and then you both teams are DQ'd, so that.
Well, at least if you're not gonna at least send them away, start counting. That way they know that they didn't have to release the whole, and then it's like, hey, you have another.
But the ref just completely ignores it. But I mean, this match, it was still a very good match. Like we said, it was just. It just kind of fell flat because, nothing was going to live up to Edge and all that. That should have almost been the main event, like Edge, Balor,
it's pretty much was. Yeah, so we got to see Girls Young Veterans poll, so right there is going to be the semifinal. And, of course, they came out, and they got a stare down, really cool. I'm really rooting for the Girls Young Veterans. I just think that they're better than Mike. They're British. I guess I have a better connection with British. I don't know. But I want them to win, and then they went at it. Pretty much.
Well, I would say, like, if you look at it, it's almost like, well, the Grizzled Young Veterans are clearly heel, so I guess the other team is going to be babyface.
Yes.
And if they win, maybe they'll put Legado in the finals. I don't know, because I don't see them doing. If the finals of this tournament is MSK versus the Grizzled Young Veterans, I don't like that.
Oh yeah.
I just feel like there's not enough big name star power in the finals then.
Unless it was maybe Ciampa and Thatcher against MSK. I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I'm going.
Is that your prediction? Ciampa and Thatcher versus MSK?
Yeah, that's my prediction. Yes.
I could see that too.
Yes, that's what we had. They went at it. Just promoting for next week because it's going to be semifinals. All finals are going to be in Takeover. It's going to be a pretty loaded Takeover, so it's going to be really interesting. Of course, we have it right here. The exclusive thing, everything, all the news, everything that comes out from there. That's on us. So don't forget. Please stay tuned. And also, family, that's the review for today. But tomorrow, don't forget with Jean Paul right there. Best booker in the business. AEW Beach Break. A lot of things, it's going to be a great show. Jean-Paul is going to be dissecting, analyzing every single thing that happened because, alliances are the main theme of AEW Impact and maybe another player added to the mix. That's all I'm going to say. We're not going to spoil it for any single one of you, but just be right there. It was a pretty decent show also, so be there for us for that video tomorrow, NXT UK also. So don't forget, the only thing we ask, subscribe and hit the bell for all notifications.
And also make sure you follow us, Rope Break, on Facebook, the OG Rope Break on Twitter, Original Rope Break on Instagram, and like Juan had just so mentioned, make sure that you click subscribe on the #1 podcast in the YouTube wrestling community, the Original Rope Break.
Thank you so very much, family. Big shout out to Steven. Big shout out to Daniel, guys that are always checking out on us, loving the stuff that we do. Thank you to guys. Our commitment to just deliver more content like that. You and me have one more thing that is left to say. That is.